Movie Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Wars podcast.
Woo, yeah.
I'm your host, Kyle. Of course, you know Seth. It's
What's
Seth's
up, y'all?
house.
Yeah, it is.
And we are so stoked to have a guest here today, one of the best working comedians, not only based out of Nashville, but he's touring all over the place. He just got back from a plane in New Orleans today. You flew back. John DeToy, ladies and gentlemen.
Woohoo,
He did
I'm
not
here.
ever get off the plane. He did nothing but stay on the plane in New Orleans.
Yeah, I have a room on a Spirit Airlines bus.
Yeah.
It pulled up right here in East Nashville.
Yeah.
And but yeah, man, he's the youngest world champion yo-yo world champion. It's hard to say. I've never yo-yoed.
Nerd.
Yeah, it's a train of words. So,
And recently he's been hosting the Natelin show at Zany's here.
yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, man. It's been awesome seeing your career blossom, getting a little recognition, touring.
Yeah, it was good. I'm sorry, I was in the airport. I was explaining to these guys, like, my flight was like 6 a.m. Last show was like 2 hours outside of New Orleans.
Ugh.
And I was just like 11:30 after we ate dinner. I was like, can you just drive me to the airport? There's a lot of people who just hang out at the airport like for early flights.
Yeah.
It's like, it's mainly sad people, I've learned.
Yeah.
But
The airport is a weird place when nothing is open.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's like Walmart used to be at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of the Wild West, but also a little bit of the greatest time ever.
oh, 100%. And you
Yeah.
guys, have you guys ever had king cake too?
Yeah.
I actually have not. That is one of the few things I haven't had from New Orleans.
Yeah, it's so that was it was everywhere. I thought it was a box of dozen donuts. And they're like, no, it's one cake. I'm like, who blink? Do you just put it in your backpack? And you're like, I don't know, you could eat it.
But I mean, it looks like a donut, so you could just say you had one donut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's Mardi Gras next week too, or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's pretty dope.
And you have a special as well, right? Is it out yet? I can't remember.
It should be out hopefully this spring. Yeah, it's gonna be called
Okay.
Mookie's Kung Fu Cowboy. It's my mom. It's yeah, it was produced by Honest Fox Productions out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Nice.
Cool. I know. I think they produced my friend Nathan's as well. I think.
Yeah,
Up there.
yep.
Nathan
exactly.
Owens. Yeah.
Nathan Owens. Yeah.
He's been on the show before.
They're so professional. It's
Nice.
crazy. So
Cool.
just like this podcast.
Well, let us know the date. We'll put it out there so we can
Okay.
funnel people to it. But also, finally, we can. Seth is going to endure a lot of Filipino rage today.
It's true.
From us too. I mean, obviously, I'm only like an eighth or something, but it's how I got my last name. But
Yep.
a couple of Filipinos here.
I'm just glad I'm not even a little Spanish.
Not even.
Not even.
Yeah, we've been really planning our coup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coup
If we hadn't any conquistadors in here, it'd be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a passive Filipino though, so
I'm pretty sure there's a sword behind us too, right? Isn't there?
yeah.
That's awesome. There we go.
He's got
some
weapons.
Spears, got a dagger. Their swords are in the bedroom.
He's got weapons planted all throughout this house. I was
Yeah.
listening to a song in his room, and I was like, "There's a sword on the wall."
There's 3 swords on the wall.
Oh
in there.
my god,
Yeah.
they look real. Are those real?
They're real swords.
Oh my god,
That's why they're in cases.
No, they're just hanging on the wall.
Oh, that's
they're just yeah,
I'm just looking at the dagger.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
behind
just
you, yeah.
that's definitely fake. That one is not even sharp.
unsheathed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are covering a movie I have been dying to cover for a long time today.
Same here, actually.
The Northman.
Yeah. If this hadn't been on your list, it would have been on mine.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much I love this movie.
Maybe the most interesting movie in Eggers' catalog, and there's a lot of reasons for that because we've covered COVID movies before, movies that were produced or came out during COVID.
Yep.
And I'm not usually like an evangelist to go see a movie or whatever, but like a lot of Eggers fans, we're like, go see it, don't let it flop. And it
Yeah.
flopped. It flopped by a little bit. It wasn't a lot, and it wasn't Eggers' fault. Although this movie did come out to a little bit of, people did detest it a little bit because a lot of people wanted to come out and see an epic.
Yeah.
And in their mind, an epic would have been a Gladiator,
Yeah.
Braveheart, 2 really great movies.
Yeah.
Not this movie.
Well, this was sort of marketed as John Wick with axes, and then as much as I would have loved that personally. I went in because I think the week before the movie came out, I read that it was based on the Norse folktale that inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. And that's when I knew, this might have some cool action in it, but this is going to be a drama.
It's going to be a deep cut.
Yeah, this is not going to be the John Wick running around with axes that I thought it was going to be.
Stabbing people with pencils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I will say, as far as like, I still think you can call this an epic because
Absolutely.
A, he goes on a full out journey throughout the whole thing, but B, they had a lava duel that rivaled Revenge of the Sith, in my opinion.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you can hate, and there's a lot to hate about the Star Wars prequels, but that duel in the lava in the volcano is one of the greatest things that's ever come out of Star Wars. This every bit as good, if not even a little better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just so true to Norse folktale.
Yeah,
like, it really followed everything. I mean, granted, like Olga, in the books, I'm pretty sure Olga's like actually a guy, and then like I don't know. I was like doing research on this.
Yeah,
and then I don't know. That's why the Shakespeare influence came into that. So
yeah,
they even had a call out to Mimir with Defoe's head. That was supposed to be a shout out, like back to Mimir.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which I knew mostly of through the God of War games, but I didn't know this in the actual folklore. The way that Odin kept Mimir. So Eggers talks about all this on the commentary.
Yeah.
It is deeply historically accurate,
Oh,
you know. And I guess herbs, Odin kept Mimir's head alive with herbs and just kept his head alive to tell him things and wisdom and stuff. That would be a horrible way to live. You're just a head sitting
just like, I forgot to feed my head.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, get the bay leaves. Why aren't there any bay leaves under Mimir's
Sprinkle
trachea?
him with some parsley.
Some parsley.
These are the wisdom parsleys.
Don't mix wheat with that. That will make him expire.
He's gluten intolerant.
But I personally, and I agree with what you're saying. I think it's an epic in the purest sense.
Yes.
It is so historical. And the thing is I love Braveheart and Gladiator, but there is so much sensationalization.
Oh, absolutely.
Romanization of those stories. They're good stories, but it
100%,
makes them really good.
Yeah.
That is not Eggers.
Yeah. No.
So I can see if you're an innocent bystander, and actually this kind of leads to the next part of what I wanted to talk about was Eggers is one of our newest auteurs.
Yeah.
You know, he has entered that classification. He's probably the newest auteur since Nolan, I would say. I'm trying to think of someone else who's established themselves.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And I think Eggers, but the thing is that he's an auteur, but he's not widely accepted. And that is
he's only put out 4 movies at this point.
correct.
Yeah.
And he's so hell-bent on historical accuracy that it does turn off a lot of people. So I could see how a lot of people would come thinking they're getting a Gladiator Braveheart experience and going, what is happening?
Well, especially after seeing the previews.
Yeah.
Like I said, the previews definitely marketed it as this like just rampage running around murdering people left and right. So
Yeah.
I could see how if you didn't look at anything other than the previews, you'd be very confused.
Yeah. It's kind of like, this is sad, but like I thought like the biopic Harriet was gonna be like Django Unchained because of the trailer.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I got like high, and I'm like, this is nothing like that. Why are they singing? Why are they singing?
We could do a whole podcast on misleading trailers.
Seriously, though.
Oh my God.
Add that to the list with the director
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you look at how jacked Skarsgård is. Like, oh, he's going to jack some people up. He jacks up like 12 people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know.
Granted, that whole sequence where he's trying to get Anya Taylor-Joy out of the way, and so he runs in and just starts brutalizing people back in the camp. It's so fucking good.
It is wild.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, but, you know, and the thing is I was trying to ask myself, I was like, how has Eggers amassed in so few films, he's amassed a very loyal following? I think even though it's divisive, there are people that are just going to be turned off. Like, there's a lot of people that say The Witch is the best horror movie ever made. And there's a lot of other people who think it's way too accurate. Nothing happens. That was the movie, and I love it. And that kind of defines my whole film journey.
Yeah.
Is that discovering, like, do you remember being young and watching the credits and thinking, oh my God, that guy directed this too? How could a guy direct 2 movies?
Once I discovered IMDb, that's when everything was lost. I just started looking. I was like, oh my God, it's all connected.
Well, and for me, because I'm old, this is pre-internet, so all I had was the credits.
Yeah.
And even when internet came out, my family was too poor to have internet, and we lived way out too far in the redneck woods of Arkansas. But I remember watching Goodfellas, falling in love with it, and then Casino came on. It said Scorsese. I was like, how could he do this too? He got De Niro in 2 movies. Oh my God! But that's how my love of film starts. Is like you find a director, you like their style. Then I'm like, I got to find their whole oeuvre.
Yeah.
I got to find everything, and that was Eggers for me. I watched The Witch, and then it was like, gotta watch The Lighthouse.
Yep.
But I think the way that he has amassed such a following is that you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting historical accuracy. You know what he's going to deliver.
Yeah.
And his fans just trust him in a way that not a lot of other directors can gather. I don't know. What do you two think?
No, I completely agree with that. He that's the thing is like when The Northman came out, he'd only put out The Witch and The Lighthouse. So even if you were familiar with what he had done, those are polar opposite movies.
Yes.
It's going to be very difficult to figure out what this next one could be. Once they announced Nosferatu, it was pretty clear to me how, and it's not even a pattern, it's just his tone goes for a movie, that it is going to be a slow burn. And that's just something you have to expect from Robert Eggers. But it's so well done that I don't, like you've said, I don't see this many young directors putting out 4 minimum 8 movies. Like they all would hit at least like an 8.0 for me on a rating scale. Like every single one of them is fantastic.
Well, especially like going like from like black and white with the lighthouse to like, to this to like, I haven't seen Nosferatu, but it looks like a totally different direction. Like honestly,
it's very dramatic with the color schemes.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. So was it nominated for anything this last year?
It was nominated for 4 Oscars.
The bullshit ones.
Yeah, I can't remember which ones, but yeah,
Sound.
not like director or best picture.
Yeah, the stuff they give people they don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like George Miller. Those are the George Miller ones.
Yeah.
For Fury Road. It's like
the Christopher Nolan ones before Oppenheimer.
That's him saying we can't admit it's a good movie, so we're going to give you these shitty awards.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you 100%. And then, but it's, you know, they still, like, those same companies will put, like, Oscar winning. I also think that, like, the trailer, they had to make it the way they did with this one because, like, just of the unique cast they had. With with Skarsgård and Anya, like, just knowing their, I don't know, their filmography.
And Ethan Hawke and Willem Dafoe, like, and Bjork, like.
And the rest
Bjork was the one that was surprising.
She's amazing.
So
I have a great rando for that, by the way.
Hell yeah.
But the rest of the actors, when you look at it, these are Scandinavian actors. They're from Denmark. They're from Iceland. Like they are. Every last name on here is of that descent. So he went out and got people that at least have that descendant nature.
Yeah. You don't have The Rock playing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I don't know.
The Rock as Hercules. Fuck you.
Imagine The Rock in Willem Dafoe's role.
Imagine The Rock in The Lighthouse.
Were you jacking off in The Lighthouse again?
Giving that monologue of the shanty.
What the fuck? Was that a mermaid? Oh, fuck The Rock.
Look at my biceps.
Yeah, I forget sometimes he's an actor. I know this is deviating, but like with that whole announcement and challenging Cody Rhodes. Like, it took him 20 minutes to be like, "You want to fight?"
Yeah. He can't help but go back to wrestling randomly, like in between making millions of dollars in movies, and then he like says something really political. He's like, "I'm gonna wrestle again."
Yeah.
That's his backup plan.
That's his fallout from pissing off both political sides. Like, I better go back to wrestling. I got to remind people of my origins.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
remember, I'm not smart.
Meanwhile, you got the Skarsgård family that's like, oh crap, The Rock's here.
3 of the best actors we have alive today. Like, oh my God.
4.
Oh yeah, there's another
3
one.
sons.
Jeez.
Like all 4 of them do crazy good shit.
God.
Yeah.
You may have a friend that can't stop pillaging. They can't stop going coast to coast in a boat, and they need this podcast.
But they're not pirates because they're from the north.
Yes, they are from the north. They are Norse.
Yes.
And they need this podcast. They're not friendly to women or children. They will burn them inside of a house. And by the way, the hay, let's have a question about that. But there's going to be hay for a roof. It's not going to be wood, the most flammable material available at the time. Hey, let's make that a roof when we know the Vikings are running around burning shit down.
But it's okay because it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yes.
And it's yes, exactly. So anyway, you may have a friend that can't stop pillaging. Send them to this because it's not going to turn out well for them. There's a volcano and they're going to die.
Yeah.
So they need this podcast. Send it to your friends. We love y'all.
And they're naked.
And they're absolutely naked.
There's a lot of butts in this movie.
a lot of butts. That should have been the subtitle of this movie. The Northman. A lot of butts.
And Anya.
And Anya. Oh my God. And I just got done doing Furiosa with Matthew Blevins. Just so much Anya right now. She hated making both of these movies. Both these movies I didn't put in my randos, but one thing that they have in common is that she complained about filming them both. It's just like I was
Why?
out. I don't know, because they were both really hard. Because she literally was in the mud in Iceland. It was cold.
I mean, yeah.
And then in George Miller, he drags them out to the desert for 2 years. They literally can't go anywhere else. Even if they try to escape, they're gonna die in the desert.
I'm living the movie.
Exactly. The questions. Is this kind of like what it's going to divulge to if satellites and technology just died today? Is this like how long before we get to the Northman where we're just pillaging and revenge is the only hobby we have?
I give it 10 years.
I mean, Seth's preparing. He's got a fair amount of swords.
Yeah.
A lot of swords.
No, that's literally the plan.
Yeah. So we have one for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you'd like to send a gift or a sword to Seth, Send it to the P.O. box.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't even sheath it. Just like, by the time it gets here, it's just poking out of the box.
I mean, most of them don't come sheathed, so.
Oh, wow. Killed like 4 postmen on the way here just by handling the box.
It's just encased in a rock.
That would
They're
make
all
us
halfway to Jesus right now.
that would make us liable.
Oh, yeah.
Telling everybody to send swords to
Yeah. Send me all the swords.
Movie Wars has killed 15 postmen. Yeah. Second question, going back to what I said earlier. I know this is a primitive society.
Yeah.
But seriously, with the hay roofs, like how much pillaging has to happen before, like, maybe we need a new material? They keep burning these things down in seconds.
I mean, the only other thing they could try to use is stones, but I don't think they really had like a mortar system at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like it was just, we'll try to stack them, but I don't know we could get the roof.
Yeah.
Well, the slaves were... You can't divide slaves. They got to do one thing.
Yeah.
You can't just do 2 things.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
And they're not Romans. They don't have
Yeah.
concrete.
they're Christians.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, man. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do with this stone.
Jesus got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just make a hay roof.
Christians are known for a love of hay.
Yeah.
Because Jesus was born in hay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
so they
manger.
have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
use it for the roofs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Christians. Guys.
And this didn't become clear to me until I'm watching the thing burn. I'm like, that thing's going to burn down in 4 seconds. It's like lighting a Christmas
yeah.
tree on fire.
Yeah.
It's like making your roof Christmas trees.
I mean, yeah, that's how they did it. Like,
Yeah.
as we said earlier, it's crazy how historically accurate all
Yeah.
this was.
Maybe better not to have a roof, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, then it starts snowing,
Yeah, it's true.
and you're like, we could set this roof on fire and then be warm.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I don't get is making love in the woods. Not that's like...
No, I
that's
get
another
it.
thing I
No.
didn't understand.
That
in
was
the
before
movie.
ticks developed that disease so that we can't eat red meat if you get bit by
I had
those
that
ticks.
for 3 years.
Oh, shit, that's terrible.
They finally
Yeah.
got rid of it, but
Yeah.
But that answers your question though. They're like, hey, we just need something over us. Like, we're making love in the woods.
yeah. Well, I will
not
say
cold.
one thing, and this is how much of a nerd Eggers is, but he was like talking about there's a scene with the snake,
Yeah.
with the he witch. He's like, there are no native snakes to Iceland. There
Yeah.
are no snakes. So it's like it's not Australia now. In Australia,
They're everywhere.
definitely don't make love in the woods. I'm just saying, if the woods love making is your thing, there probably is a stack rank of countries. I would say we're probably not a good country for it, but Iceland, Greenland,
Yeah.
some of the
Ireland.
Scandinavian, probably a few good places out
Yeah.
there. But you're right, it's not my bag.
Thanks, St.
Yeah.
Patrick.
That'd be funny if they imported a snake to Iceland. Be like, why?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Iceland turns into just a gigantic Florida. People just bring the most exotic animals there and let them loose.
The snake capital of the world.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's fucking crazy.
It's like the opposite of what St. Patrick did.
It's amazing.
I think you can't even be that nerd that owns like snakes in Ireland. Like
Yeah.
they're just completely
Yeah.
illegal. I don't even know. I didn't go to the zoo when I was there, but I don't even know if they have them at the zoo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a guy in one of those tube things. Yeah. Like,
I'm a snake. I'm a snake. Yes.
This is going to sound really dark, and I have a bit about this, so maybe that makes it better. But I hate snakes because I had an aunt my aunt lived in El Paso, and she went to prison. She stole my grandmother's cancer medication and tried to sell it on the street like it was Oxycontin. And she
my
had
God.
she had a shack like that had 20 snakes in the back, and she used to go out there and just like talk to them. I'm like, snakes are not good business.
No.
Like if you have a bunch of
No.
snakes, you're gonna steal your dying grandmother's cancer medication and sell it.
I think the limit is 2. Like they
Yeah.
need a friend like that, but that's the limit.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna own them and not be creepy, you can only
Yeah.
have 2.
well,
Yeah.
it's like, like ball pythons you can get at Petco for like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are like, they can get like 5 feet long, the females.
Oh, yeah.
Because my sister-in-law has like 2 of them. But like, yeah, the people who are like, I own an African gaboon viper. And like, that's the most dangerous animal on
Yeah.
the planet.
He's sweet.
I have 6 black widows.
He looks like a Lego Roblox.
Yeah. That's not adrenaline either. You have adrenaline junkies who like love doing crazy shit, like
Yeah.
jumping out of planes.
Yeah.
And then you
Like
have
Tom
people
Cruise.
and then you have people like me that don't want to walk outside.
Yeah.
And then you got the insect and snake people that like,
really don't want to walk outside.
yeah, and they love handling vile animals. Like that's not what is that?
Yeah.
They want to bring the outside inside.
Yeah.
That's my tiger house.
Yeah. We need instead of Tiger King season 3, we need Snake Queen.
Yeah.
Like I need to see some crazy shit about someone who has snakes.
My aunt live from prison.
Yeah. How snakes makes you sell Oxycontin on the street.
Randos. Oh, I'm gonna kick it off with my favorite. So there's a lot of stuff here about Bjork. This was a big deal for
Yeah.
Bjork. This was her first film in 22 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, her
It hasn't
other
been that long.
Her last film was her first film, which is the Von Trier film Dancer in the Dark, where she got so many accolades.
Yeah.
She was incredible. I don't want to go into detail. Sexual assault from Lars von Trier set her acting career back. She didn't want to do it again, and she also had an amazing acting career anyway, or amazing music career anyway. She's one of my favorite musicians. So this was a big deal to come back to film, and the reason that it was attractive to her, she's very knowledgeable of her heritage. She is from Iceland. And also because of that, Eggers actually gave her the opportunity. She picked her entire wardrobe.
Nice.
And she didn't just pick it because she liked it. Like, she had like historical, mythological reasons. Like the thing, if you notice, the thing that looks like a third eye, I can't remember what they're called, but they're stones. Actually, the other women were also wearing them on their head. But she wanted to use the same thing, but she wanted to look like she had a third eye to show that she was like of a witch nature.
Yeah.
And the headdress, Eggers did help her with the headdress, but that was like a Scandinavian wedding I can't remember what they call it, but it's like a head thing that they would wear for weddings.
Oh, nice.
And
it's like the replacement of a veil, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything on her outfit had significance, and she was heavily involved in it, and she crushes it in the short time she's in this.
She's fantastic. Like, that scene is so creepy in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another reason that, like, the Oscars hit and they missed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Everybody here, and we'll get into our categories, but it's just, I love the authenticity of this film.
Yeah.
And again, I trust Eggers. That's what I said earlier. It's like when I get in the film, I know I'm at least seeing, and the thing for him romanticizing this film is like he was saying that there are parts of it, like, we don't have a lot of artifacts from this time period where the story takes place.
Yeah.
So the helmets, for example, are an amalgamation of the period before and after where they have physical artifacts.
Yeah.
And it was just a reimagining of what those things combined would look like the evolutional stage. So that's him romanticizing and sensationalizing this story, where others would be like, what if we put a gun in this movie? You know? Or what if everybody has pecs? You know, it's like...
See, I think it's stuff like that. So I would have to say, I think objectively, The Lighthouse is his best movie, but this one's my favorite.
Yeah.
This one's my favorite because as cool as The Lighthouse is and as different as The Lighthouse is, he pays so much attention to all of the fine details everywhere, whether it's working with Bjork on her costume or whether it's stuff like that. Like, it's just, it's so much good stuff.
Did you watch the commentary?
No.
Oh, I'd recommend it. Like, you're gonna get a history lesson.
I'm eventually gonna get the 4K. I only rented it on digital because I was like, I'll get the 4K eventually. But yeah.
I learned so much. I'm actually now reading about Norse mythology because of how interested he made me. So thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Bob.
I love talking to directors like I know them. I call Martin Scorsese Marty, and people, my old co-host for the first version of the show, they're like, why didn't you call him Marty?
Because that's what literally everybody calls him.
It's like, do you know him? I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's like we're on Entourage.
Marty. This is an amazing fact. You're going to love this as a filmmaker. This is the only film and the last film that has one line of improvised dialogue in any Eggers movie.
Oh.
It came from, what's his face? Elder Scar Finn, the actor who played Nose Stub, the guy whose nose cut off. It's when Amalith runs to the boat as a child and escapes, and he's chanting on the boat. That I'll avenge you. That one line that he says to the Raven was the Raven King.
Yeah,
that's the only line of dialogue that's ever been kept that was improvised in an Eggers movie ever.
Wait, what did he say specifically?
It's nothing really. It's just him updating the Raven King about, and it's the way he said it. Apparently, it was not on the script.
Oh,
and he improvised, but because.
Wow.
I think because the time period correctness is so important to Eggers, like, because it's like he researched, even The Lighthouse, that was based on some language, like some English medieval language that was really specific to seamen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's that intricate. Hey. So that's we're 7 years old on this podcast.
Absolutely.
If you didn't know. Yeah. So I love that. I can't believe it. That there's only one improvised line of dialogue.
I mean, I can.
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
So from what I hear about him, he's not like an asshole on set like a Kubrick, but he seems to be every bit as picky and in a good way, but very picky about how things are done and said, just because, like you said, I mean, he himself has said he has no interest in doing any type of modern film. Every film he's going to do is going to be a period film. And so I could see how he would not necessarily micromanage, but just understand like every detail of everything that happens. So that does make sense. That is funny though. That was, that kind of makes sense, because when I saw that one moment, in the back of my mind, I was like, that does feel a little different than every other line that has been spoken in this movie.
Yeah. Imagine walking around without a nose and knowing it was just cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be like, I'm going to improvise.
I'm making shit up. I don't got a nose. I'm making it up as I go here. This is a very nostrilless line of dialogue here. Rando. In case anybody was worried, the volcano scene, don't worry, even though you barely see them, those are digital genitals. So when you do,
really?
Yeah, just in case you guys were worried.
Dang it.
Yeah.
I want real cock.
Yeah, that's not the real Skarsgård, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's that ain't the Raven King. Yeah, so
For that stuff, they usually just like put on like really light nylon, pretty much compatible to their skin, right? And
yeah.
they're wearing essentially a man thong.
Yeah.
I think there are rules about showing genitalia. Like, you could show boobs and it's fine, but I think there are very specific rules as far as ratings go. Like, I think if you do show actual penis or actual vagina, it's immediately NC-17.
Yeah.
So that's, usually if they are going to do it, it's usually a prosthetic or digital.
And prosthetics are, I know, like for like, explain NC-17 versus R to me.
R literally means you can see the movie if you're over 13 and accompanied by an adult.
Yeah.
NC-17 means no one under 17 is getting in.
Oh, okay.
Like, they will check your ID, and if you are 16 and a half, you cannot go watch this movie in theaters. The biggest differences as far as like what's on screen, there is a different level of violence that will make a movie NC-17, and then certain sexual natures of nudity, if it goes beyond what you would, even like 50 Shades of Grey really had to tone things down in order to be an R rating.
Yeah.
Then you have something like Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac, which is NC-17 to the max, because even though they're using doubles for the actual sex scenes, you are actually watching actual sex happen in some of those scenes.
And Von Trier employs porn stars for that.
Yeah.
Because he's
Shia LaBeouf had a penis double.
Yeah.
How I feel like that would be just like kind of like backwards insulting to me and be like, hey, it's not you, it's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just packing.
Rammstein did a music video for one of their songs, which I just won't say the name of it, but it starts with a P. You can find it. They filmed it in a brothel in Germany, but it involved all of the band members having sex, and so they actually ended up hiring penis doubles. When all of the guys in the band saw the doubles come in, they were just like, "Oh no, that makes sense." Yeah, like no, let's do them, not me.
They put the Ram in Rammstein.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's amazing to hear that even the Germans have that sensibility. Fantastic work.
Yeah. Good taste, guys.
A lot going on with the digital genitals conversation here.
I do love the fact that in Nosferatu, Nicholas Hoult got gifted the penis.
I still haven't seen
prosthetic.
it, so
it's great.
Really?
I might as well just go ahead and watch the extended version. It's 4 minutes longer, but like whatever.
Yeah,
but
I'm waiting to watch it for the pot.
There's one scene where you do see Count Orlok's penis, and it's a prosthetic, and he gifted it instead of to Bill Skarsgård. He gifted it to Nicholas Hoult, and he has it framed in his house.
Trying to imagine what that would look like.
It's small.
Daddy, what's that? A really good memory.
That's a vampire penis.
Yeah.
Last rando.
Here we go.
Most of this was shot in Iceland, but because of insurance, they wouldn't let him do the whole thing. So a lot of these scenes were parts of Ireland that mimic kind of the look. So, but I don't know why it's like you can do some of it in Iceland, but not all of it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. I guess. Is he British? Is he Irish? Robert Eggers, where is he from?
I think he's just American.
Yeah, I hear so too, yeah.
I've never heard him speak, so I just don't know.
When he speaks, he's very. It sounds very. You've heard him speak. He sounds very American to me. Yeah.
Okay, then there just must be whatever company he was using must have needed to have some stuff shot in Ireland too. You never know. Insurance is weird. You'll like there was a Mythbusters episode where they're like doing an Indiana Jones thing and they were dropping through canvases and Adam was like ready to do it. And then immediately insurance called and was like, no, you can't, but we'll send the other guy.
Yeah.
The other guy can do this, but you can't. You're too expensive. So they just have the most random reasons.
I also know that like Iceland's like really protective of their nature. So like maybe they were like, hey, you can't have all this artificial stuff.
No, you cannot shoot in front of an actual volcano that's erupting.
Get over it.
Yeah, grow up.
Yeah. Pretentious.
Stupid Reykjavik.
Fucking
It's
insurance.
fucking
Ruining everything for us.
Scandinavia. Yeah.
Bet it was Bjork.
If I'm gonna do it, my first movie in 22 years,
We're going to Ireland.
shall we pillage?
Let's do it.
Shall we burn down the hay roof?
Shall we
Yep.
Rammstein?
Shall we Rammstein?
Shall we?
Let's war. All right. So for today's categories, the yes affirmative, love this category, great. Berserker, barely know her.
I'm leaving.
Thank you.
Fine, I'll do them by myself. And
They're all berserkers, barely knowers.
even better than that, the no negative didn't dig it. Mead Eoker.
I like that one.
I do like that one too.
Yeah.
Shout out Honey Tree Meadery.
Oh, is that a real thing?
Oh, they're right down the road.
I've never had mead.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
It will mess you up.
Yeah. That's the thing is like it can go proof wise everywhere from beer to like port. So from like 4% to 20%. And there's everything in between. And you would not know you're drinking alcohol at any of those proof levels.
Really?
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I'll take you sometime when you start drinking again.
I'm done. I'm done.
And the flight is like a Hobbit house. It's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I wish I still drank. I'm done. I cut it out. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Poor me. Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna need some whiskey glasses.
At least I've got coffee. Top bill cast. So for our top bill, our highest paid folks were Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, and Claes Bang as the Raven King.
Oh.
What do you guys think?
I think they fucking killed it. Like, I think every single one of them did an incredible job. Alexander Skarsgård is already normally kind of ripped and just got even more jacked for this movie. Every line of dialogue he spoke, I felt like in my soul. So yeah, I give it a berserker, barely knower.
I meant Fjolnir the Brotherless, by the way. Claes Bang is Fjolnir. I kept mixing up Ethan Hawke and him.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how far behind Bjork was on that, given.
She's pretty far down the list.
She was barely in the movie, so I
Yeah.
doubt she was paid anywhere near as much as the others.
I'm looking. She is. She actually was like almost close to the bottom here.
Yeah. I mean, she was in the movie for a total of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, she got paid in Third Eye Stone things.
Yeah, she got to own the volcano. That
Yeah.
day.
She got to keep the costumes.
We'll name this after you, Mount Bjork.
She was like, finally, I have created the full circle.
Her music kind of sounds sometimes like an erupting volcano.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When she's like, ah!
You could have easily put Army of Me in the background of the fight scene. That would have
That's
been
a
amazing.
song.
Yeah.
So good.
What do you think?
I like it. I mean, again, they all killed it. I love the dialogue when Nicole Kidman and Alexander Skarsgård, he's like learning the truth behind her beginnings as his mother, and just like the way they avoided how some not as talented directors would have that dialogue be written out. Be like, yeah, it was good, and the symbolism of scarring was really good too, and how they weren't just like, look at this.
Yeah.
It was more like subtle, like a scar, something you just like discover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Body language. I don't know. Overall, they all deserved it.
That's awesome. And that's one of two things he made up for this movie. Like, there's literally 2 or 3 things that didn't happen during this time period. He said that there's no evidence that they actually did that to slaves, that they branded them, but he said he needed kind of a through line. And so he said it kind of makes sense. Maybe they did this.
Maybe they did. I mean, as you said, in that particular time period, apparently there's just not much to go off of. So it was a common thing to do to slaves around the world. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to say it. You have to say the thing.
You have to say the thing.
You have to say a thing, and then you have to.
Oh, no, you have to say the thing.
What thing?
The berserker.
Berserker. Hardly know her.
You don't have to say it every time. If you don't dig it, you can just say berserker. It's fine.
If I have to suffer through this, you do too.
Berserker. Yeah. And I didn't know
I
this,
barely
but
knows a woman.
berserker means bear warrior.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Also, in that time period, they would actually, they would do 2 things. They would paint themselves blue and run into battle completely naked, not even with the loincloths. But then they would also, those mushrooms that they took in the like the rite of passage scene, that was something that berserkers would take. They would take mushrooms and just be tripping balls.
Wow.
So that they had no fear and would just run and beat the shit out of people.
Man,
that was a whole thing. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Wish I would have known that in high school.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I just needed that to ask someone to the dance.
Yeah.
You know, just not to burn down a village, but just like, hey, do you want to go to the
Why
dance?
is Kyle talking to a wall?
He's asking it to the dance. Okay. Him with his 14 zits on his nose.
Her name is Wally. Okay.
Wally's a babe. I also go berserker barely know her. I trying to find something I don't like here, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is my favorite Nicole Kidman role ever.
Yeah.
I haven't really
That's
seen
a
her.
bold statement, sir.
I know I've seen a lot of her work. I haven't seen her play this note, man. She was at first I'm not noticing it. Like it's like she's just kind of in the background, but when she is telling him, you pointed this out, the history.
Yeah.
Of what and like how intentional she was about this whole thing. I was like, damn, I haven't seen Nicole, and I was very like, that was vindictive, man. Like I was totally sold. And I mean, I think Skarsgård. I mean, I like all of the Skarsgårds.
Oh yeah.
Even though Bill keeps reprising my favorite roles and ruining them. The Crow. Thank you.
That was not his fault.
I know.
That was a check.
Pennywise is cool, but
Pennywise is great. Count Orlok is insane.
I can't wait to see it.
Oh my god.
Pennywise.
Here's something I will say about Nicole Kidman. I think this one is tied for first with two other roles for me. Her role in Big Little Lies, which I've always described as the best filmed soap opera I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Very overdramatic, but I just accept it because it's that's what it is. And she destroys that role. But the other one I think that ties this for me is her role in Dogville.
Yeah. Oh wow. I don't know that I've seen Dogville.
I don't think so either.
It's Lars von Trier's tamest film.
Oh, that's right.
And it's the one where they shot it in a soundstage. And if it's daytime, the background's nothing but white. If it's night, the background's nothing but black. But all of the set, like all the locations are painted in outlines on the ground. And then they have specific set pieces like a shop window, but there's no door, but everyone knows where the door is. So they'll make the action as if they're opening the door, and then he puts sound design in. So it sounds like they're walking on dirt or walking on wood or opening the door. She absolutely dominates in that role. It is, again, and that's the thing. All three of these roles for me are so vastly different and unique as far as how she plays them. But they're perfect examples of her going to 110.
Yeah, she's just been doing so much TV lately. I forget a little bit of her filmography.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Belcourt had a whole series of her films. I saw Dogville and Eyes Wide Shut there. Both insanely good roles for her. But yeah, I would say Dogville, Big Little Lies, and this are my top three for her.
Was she Oscar nominated for Bombshell with Margot Robbie and all them?
I do not know.
Yeah, because like she was pretty good in that too. But like I agree, this one was because like the one thing I like, and I'm going back to the dialogue between her and Alexander Skarsgård, is like normally if I like watched a period movie and like the mom's coming on to literally her son, like in the movie, I'd be like, this is kind of a weird interruption. Even even though it might be historically accurate, it's very hard to pull off. But she created this transition.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was.
It seemed like the next step. Like it just seemed natural to how she presented it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
So
That's a good point. I wasn't really freaked out by it. I was just more like, God, like she's on a tear right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She won't stop until like she's planning. She's conniving. Like she is the mastermind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, you know, it's like the dirtiest thing I'll probably ever say. It's kind of like a scared boner, you know, I imagine. You're just like, wow, okay.
Mommy, why?
All right, Mom. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is, that's something I didn't even think about. But yeah, she is like, it's almost like she's attracted in her character, at least in this movie, to like slightly weaker men. Like Ethan Hawke's character, obviously there was a point where she was attracted to him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have like willingly lived in that as long as she did. She would have probably found a way out of it. And I mean, it did take her out of slavery. But like, I don't know. She seemed to get with men that she could manipulate in the way that she needed it.
Yeah.
All he cared about was war. I mean, even when she like tried to get him to go to bed with her, he was like, no, I'm going to go with my son and we're going to go like, I'm going to take him on the path to become a warrior. Like that's literally all he cared about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was very tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he's the only one who didn't have that, which was hence the pillaging.
All the pillaging. This is all pre-iPhone.
That's when it stopped.
Yeah. Whenever the computer came out, it's like, all right, let's stop it with the axes.
Yeah, Steve
porn
Jobs
time.
was just in a field. He's like, there is so much pillaging.
Imagine if you could listen to Phil Collins from your pocket on demand. You would stop killing all these people and burning down their huts.
Imagine if you could listen to the Deftones.
Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
Oh. I'll have to send you the video so he knows what he's talking about. One of our most viral videos is just because the comments are just lambasting me because I said the Deftones because it was in a moment of passion. And I love Deftones, but I said the, and now I'm the criminal of the century.
Yeah.
But hey, it made us viral.
I mean, it's almost as bad as me saying that Clark Kent is the human part of Superman.
Yeah. People.
He's Kryptonian. No, Kal-El is Kryptonian. Clark Kent is a human being, assholes.
Who cares? Zack Snyder's an idiot.
Shut up.
Okay. Snyder. Supporting cast is one.
I have swords.
Yeah, you do. I'm becoming more aware. Of the swords. 1-0. We are nearly burning this bitch down. Supporting cast. Ethan Hawke is King Arvindale, War Raven. Anya Taylor-Joy, Olga the Birch Forest. I didn't even know she had a last name. Gustav Lind is Thorir the Proud. There's so many. Elliot Rose is Gunnar. Willem Dafoe is Hamir the Fool. And then there's so many more. I'm trying to get to the one.
Stellan Skarsgård's in there.
Stellan, yep. And then Bjork as the Cirrus. And those are the ones that kind of... Oh, I'll go ahead and say Elder Scar as Finner the Nose Dub since he had a rando.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think?
I mean, once again, like I have to go Berserker Barely Know Her. Like there's so few times where there's no single misses on any member of the cast, be it an extra, be it a one-line character, be it a recurring character. Like there is not a single misstep here. Every single person, whatever large or little role they played on screen, every single person was convincing to me. Not a single person felt out of place. Every now and then, like there's a clip going around of from the second Doctor Strange movie, or when he's sitting in the church about to watch the wedding, there's a woman right over his shoulder, just over the top, like, oh, I'm talking to this person, and now I'm talking to this person, and it's like the moment you realize it is so distracting. Not a single incident of this in this movie. You're completely immersed.
It feels like an SNL
on.
sketch.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So yeah, Berserker Barely Know Her.
Yeah, Berserker Barely Know Her.
Woo! You said it.
Well, I think,
willingly.
I think that like it's hard too when you do period movies with kids because it has to be also a very selective process.
Yeah.
Because like in The Gladiator, you know, like the kids are they're just dead right away in the movie.
Yeah.
But like he had to carry a little bit of weight like during the game. Like I don't know how to pronounce it, but like, you know, basically like Quidditch for Norse.
I know. It just divulged into beating each other with sticks.
I mean, that sounds like Norse games.
Yeah.
Have you seen rugby?
Yeah.
They're just like, this is boring. How about we start killing people?
That was the equivalent to like a primitive like kegger gone wrong at a frat house.
Yeah.
You know?
Instead of someone doing too much blow, you just beat the shit out of someone with your head.
And then the president's like, look, you brought us obviously loyalty. Have any of the women at your disposal.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I joined this frat.
Yeah.
But
It's amazing we evolved with all the headbutting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you just think that would have been a delay. Like our strongest, most dominant men, you know, that waged these wars in history, utilizing the headbutt. Like, yes, they're conquering and pillaging, but at the same time, they're killing so many brain cells. I mean, it's just like, how did we advance?
The mushrooms, they replenished them.
It's true.
Yeah.
Or they just, you know, we didn't have X-rays back then.
It's true.
It's not real.
CTE wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah. Life expectancy of 26 and a half.
Yeah.
I also go Berserker Barely Know Her. I struggled a little bit, and this is really more situational, and that's because of the podcast. Like in the same week, I had to do, I did Furiosa with Matthew Blevins, and then I was doing all the research on this at the same time. And so I'm seeing Anya barely talk, and then her talking a lot here, and I'm watching all these Furiosa interviews with her British accent, and I'm having a hard time like keeping it straight in my mind because I've watched so much Anya in the past 2 weeks, but sometimes maybe it's a hesitation I'm like, does she go out of accent a little bit periodically in this movie? I feel like her accent is not consistent in the Northman.
I didn't notice.
There are moments where I'm like, you went British there.
I mean, that's the thing though, is there are parts of British that are very influenced by the Norse accent.
True.
Like, because you did have that whole time period
Yeah.
where the Norse came and completely sacked all of England. Like they
Thank God.
owned England for the longest time,
That time,
basically.
Yeah, fuck them.
So I don't know. I didn't notice it. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised because this is a pretty extensive film, and there might be
Yeah.
more, but I didn't notice it. I didn't
notice slip ups until you just like mentioned it. Really.
Go back and watch it. You can't
Yeah.
help it. It's going to be like a subconscious bias now.
For me, instead of Anya, it was the fact that I've watched 2 Ethan Hawke movies in a row where he's playing such polar opposite characters because he's such a bitch in Before the Devil Knows You're Dying, and then this he's a very like regal motherfucker, and it was very interesting seeing both sides of that.
I didn't recognize him at first.
Yeah,
when I watched it,
I was trying to find him. I'm like, because I never researched before I watched. I was like, maybe he's the kid.
Yeah. They de-aged him.
Boyhood in reverse.
Again, I liked Anya here. It's hard when I do so much research and 2 movies in a row, I hear her just hating everything she's doing on the set because of where she is. But ultimately, both directors said she's amazing. She's dedicated. She's also the person that keeps everybody on track. She's also the hardest working actress today. I mean, she is. I feel like she's every 6 months she's coming out with a show and a movie at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's incredible. But I was just a little Anya'd out, you know. It's more like Anya Taylor Misery. But
Anya Taylor sad.
Yeah. What I will say is, first thing, a question: how many amazing side roles is Willem Dafoe going to rack up? He's one of the best actors of all time, but so many of his great roles are just side characters.
He's in his side quest era.
Yeah, he's just so good.
He's just doing everything he wants to do and more. Like,
well, how old is the guy now? 68?
Gotta be in his late 60s.
Yeah.
We have the technology.
Yeah, I guess.
How old is Willem Dafoe?
He is 82.
69.
He's 69?
Nice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that. Loved him in Platoon. And of course, Bjork. Great job. So we barely.
Let's get more Bjork in movies.
Yeah, Bjork, we're so glad you're back. I love your music. Do some more movies.
Yeah.
Just stay away from the Lars.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude. I don't like him either. I go in to watch the Lars movie thinking it's exactly for me, and then all of a sudden I'm just seeing genitals getting smashed with a hammer, and I'm like, this isn't for me.
I mean, you should never watch Antichrist.
I know, but like again, the marketing, it looked interesting, and I was like, oh, Defoe is in it. That looks interesting. It was my first Von Trier movie. That's probably
that's interesting. Yeah.
Now that I think about it, that's why I haven't seen Dogtown, because I worked backwards. I went Melancholia, I went Antichrist, and then I was never going to watch another one again.
Yeah, this one's very different for him. Like I said, it's his most tame movie. I think you would enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lars, I'll give you a second chance, even though you're a dick.
The house that Jack built is also very good.
I hear he stacks up dead children in that movie.
I mean, lots of dead people.
Yeah, but there's, I don't know.
He's a non-discriminating. He's an equal opportunity killer.
Yeah.
So a sadist. All right.
Yeah. All right. 2-0. The hay is on fire. I can see the Valhalla afterlife here.
Skull.
All right. Writing and beside Robert Eggers, Sean, who's an Icelandic writer and poet and author.
I like that he just has one name.
Me too. I want that for myself.
Yeah. I want to just be known as Seth.
Where would you go? Would you be Kyle?
No, something. We got to find something from our Filipino heritage.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you would just go by Kai.
Kai, no. Listen, PSA, I have met so many people with deviations of my name. Kyler. I had someone at a Starbucks spell my first name wrong, K-I-L-E, and they asked me how to spell it, and I said K-Y-L-E, and they still spelled it K. It's not hard.
They just do K-A-L-E.
Yeah.
Kale?
Yeah, dear God. Yeah.
Oh, man. I do think this is his second best script. This is, again, there are certain technical reasons why I'm like, The Lighthouse is his best film.
Absolutely.
But I just love this one. The dialogue, the thing I've noticed, and I've only seen a couple of like the Scandinavian like films, the thing I have noticed is their speech is kind of stilted in general, just in their cadence. and it translates really interestingly over into English. And I think everyone, whether or not they were Scandinavian, hit that cadence really well. And I think the writing is probably what carried that over, because you look at Shakespeare, everything's written in iambic pentameter, and because it has a very specific cadence that Shakespeare wanted his actors to follow.
Pentameter.
This, not in the same way, but in a similar way, hits that stride. So for me, yeah, it's definitely Berserker, Barely Know Her.
Yeah, Berserker, Barely Know Her. It's kind of like that thing
I
with
love how he
like,
just rushes through it.
Yeah.
Berserker, Barely Know Her.
Well,
well, it's kind of like, you know how like some people in like comedy, like, well, we know this will be like, oh, that joke's a bad read.
wrong room.
But like, I just felt, I don't know, like I've seen this with The Lighthouse too. I'm like, I felt like I was reading and watching.
Yeah.
Which makes it more of an immersive experience.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, like Nicole Kidman's just dialogue with just the reveal of his beginnings was just so great.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it didn't seem, I could tell that these were things that, you know, were very carefully written. But like, that's also how they just talked too.
Yeah.
Like I could believe it. And in The Lighthouse, you know, when he gives like that full dialogue, Willem Dafoe's character, like about and that essentially got him nominated for the Oscar, I was like, wow, this is.
Yeah.
And I think the camera work had a lot to do with that too, actually, in the lighting. But I don't know. It was just.
You know what the dialogue in this, and even though it's very different, it reminded me of the dialogue in the Coen Brothers' True Grit, where when you watch that movie, everyone in the movie speaks the way that writing was back then. There are very few contractions. They instead of saying can't, they'll say cannot, like things like that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the proper direction, it can sound very strange. But for whatever reason, like when I watch that movie, when I watch True Grit, it sounds like I'm in an actual Western time period. And I think that's what happens with this, is it's written in such a perfect way that you don't feel like people are reading theatrical lines. You feel like they're just speaking into what's happening.
Yeah, kind of like, what marriage do you want to go between the actor and the script, or the language and the portrayal, kind of like stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. Sorry, my headphones kind of going in and out. So.
Yeah. No, I go Berserker, Barely Know Her here. And the thing is, I know the writing is probably where it lost the non-Eggers crew, you know, and which I get. Yeah. But the thing is that when it comes to specifically to the epic genre, and I'm going to continue to call it an epic because I do think this is an epic in the truest sense, it sent me looking for more. I wanted, like, I was reading it, like you said, which that's Mel Gibson's thing. Like he actually was the first person to say, yeah, Apocalypto, you're going to be reading the whole time, but and same with Passion of the Christ, because like it's going to be immersive and people are going to love it, and that ended up being the case.
Yeah.
So and that's the case here, and I like. Not a lot of movies, like I will watch movies and love them, but not a lot of movies I watch and then say, I'm going to go read a bunch of books.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I'm going to go like that. And I read a lot anyway, but not a lot of history. But now I'm like, I want to know everything about Norse mythology and everything that happened here. And Eggers made that happen for me. And also another shout out, we didn't mention him in the supporting cast, but Ingvar Sigurdsson, sorry, he played the He-Witch.
Oh, okay.
His dialogue, that was kind of the Lighthouse moment where Defoe goes on that crazy rant.
Yeah.
That crazy, in that language. You remember that? When he's just like...
Shanty, essentially.
Yeah, he's out of his mind. That was kind of that moment in this movie for me. The He-Witch kind of stole the show for a minute there. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I loved it. The writing here is like... And I want more of this. I want more Eggers. I want more directors like him.
The werewolf film is going to be nuts.
Dude, I know. 13th century, right?
Yeah,
Oh my God. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about that. I read that.
And then he's also doing a Labyrinth sequel. That'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm very curious to see what he does.
I'm almost more interested in that. That was cool, yeah.
Yeah. 3-0. We are singeing our genitals next to a volcano. It's going well.
It's getting hot.
Our butts are burning.
Getting really hot in here. Directing, Robert Eggers.
I mean, fucking perfect.
Yeah. Again,
there's a reason this one's my favorite, even though I can point to so many other things. I think the lighting is better in the Lighthouse. Here's the thing I've noticed with him is he does love very dramatic darks and lights. He doesn't even necessarily like focus on the color scheme as much. He uses a lot of oranges and blues to go with firelight or nighttime, but like beyond that, he loves his very dark darks and his very light lights.
Yeah.
And he uses as much natural lighting as possible. And even though technically this could go in the what's in front of us category, it's very much, you look at a shot that he's done, and you know it's an Eggers shot. Same with a Christopher Nolan shot, or same with a Tarantino shot. Like you just know that he's the one who planned that out. And it's like there's so many little meticulous things in this that it's so good. And yes, Berserker Barely Know Her. He's a fucking master of a director, and I cannot wait to see more from him.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think that's why the He Witch stole the show is because of that lighting, honestly, too.
Yeah,
because the dialogue was strong, but you know, it's just, I don't know, man. Just he's killing it right now.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how many films he ends up producing. I'm also surprised he wasn't nominated for award for that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not. Again, this is only his third film. Most new directors don't get nominated for big things until past their like 7th or 8th film.
Oh,
the
really?
fact that Peter Jackson got nominated for Return of the King, for all the Lord of the Rings, is kind of an outlier, an anomaly to the system. Like they don't really like giving new directors the big titles.
Even though The Lighthouse was nominated for, only like two.
Was he nominated for director or
no, he
best
wasn't,
film? Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Best lighting.
Yeah.
And best, was it screenplay?
Probably. Yeah, that's the thing, is they like Christopher Nolan was nominated for best editing and I think best screenplay from Memento, and then wasn't nominated for anything else until The Dark Knight. And so that's just kind of how it goes with the Oscars. They like gatekeeping until they see you're actually going to make a real career out of it.
I hate
it's annoying.
The Academy is the most corrupt organization this side of Tyson Chicken.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised that it wasn't nominated for more. It also kind of really flew under the radar, like you said, because of when it came out, how it was marketed versus how the movie actually was.
It flopped.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people in the Oscars weren't really paying attention to Eggers at the time. I think Nosferatu is going to change a lot for him. Like, I even though he was only nominated for 4 this time, I think the movie itself is going to set him up as a actual auteur that they'll start paying attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, yeah, Berserker. I barely know her.
Barely know her. Oh, yeah.
Trying to say like a North.
Oh, yeah.
Got real creepy with that one.
Yes.
We're a 2002 movie trailer.
Oh, yeah.
In a world.
In a world. I also go Berserker, Barely Know Her. I don't know what else I can say. I did want to say one more thing about the coloration of some of these scenes. The scene with Bjork, he purposely pulled all the reds out.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, like, in a different context, that's one of the ugliest colors. It really is. Yeah. It's like concrete. It's blue, but it made so much sense. And you're so, like, in the way Skarsgård's not blinking and staring and her visual. Yeah. You're just so pulled in. You're not even thinking about the fact that this is the coldest shot I've ever seen color-wise. So
that's also the thing, is they're literally in one of the coldest places in the world. Like, it is freezing when you get up to those longitudes. So yeah, it's like you want to especially when everything else is lit by firelight, when it's not just natural sunlight, you need to have some weird contrast. And you could do what George Miller did in Fury Road and have the bright oranges and then the very deep blues when you hit night. Yeah. But it makes more sense with his old school filmmaking style to pull it into more of that gray silver kind of blue than like the deep blues of it. So
yeah.
I like it. I think it's a very unique way to do it.
Cool.
Yeah, the Fury Road approach for this movie would be pretty insane.
Yeah. Deep saturation of
This is one of the few movies I would actually love to see a black and white remaster of.
Yeah.
I think it would be very interesting to see him do something like that. Fury Road was one of the few I've seen that worked really well, because that's how he originally wanted to do it, was he wanted it to be black and white. The studio was like, no, fuck you. But when he did his black and chrome version, you could tell that he always had black and white in mind when he shot that. And I think this would lend itself to that styling very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they found a compromise.
Yeah.
They shook hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always weird when they do let a black and white, like Sin City or something like that. It's like, when do they let that happen? It's so random.
It just really depends, I think. And even then, like Sin City Wasn't that based on a comic?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why where it's like red was the only color that came through the comic.
Well, doesn't violence have like a typical factor into that too? Like because like Kill Bill wasn't one of the scenes in black and white, so it could avoid being NC-17.
I think so. Yeah, I haven't watched them in a while, but
that would make sense.
Yeah, it was like something weird, but I think that's also one of the deciding factors.
Yeah.
Yeah. 4-0, like an axe to the brain here. What is in front of us, and that is cinematography, production, design, sound, costumes, and editing.
I also think we should add stunt choreography to this. For this movie specifically, just because
I love it.
The fighting and the stunt choreography was so damn good.
Yeah.
It felt visceral. It felt real. None of it felt overly rehearsed.
Yeah.
Like, even though, just as someone who knows what stunt fighting looks like, it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
It kind of like John Wick. It felt so well rehearsed that it just flowed naturally. So for me, it's a Berserker Barely Knower. We've been talking about the lighting of this movie. It is absolutely incredible. The coloration, the way that he sets up the visuals. I think it's a very unique approach to a movie like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fighting, it's like sometimes you'll see a movie, you're like, I think they're doing Krav Maga, but it's like 1459.
Yeah.
And you're like, but like, these are just savages who are like, I'm going to use bare bone and grit.
Yeah.
So that was, like we've talked about Bjork, costume design was so on point. And like the He Witch, just the presentation, so great. Really like the nudity.
Really like the genitals.
Love the dicks.
Yeah, love it.
But I mean, even like what you were saying about the helmets, like the fact that we don't really have many relics from that time period. So it was like, okay, what came before? What came after? How do we kind of bridge that gap? And like, that is attention to detail that a lot of directors don't have today.
Yeah.
Today, they would just be like, oh, here's what a Viking helmet looks like. And they'd put horns on it. And like, if you're going to be this historically accurate, it has to look perfect.
Yeah. Well, even the prophecy scene, you know, like they could have been very corny.
Oh, yeah.
That. But like the way that the bloodline is literally like the blood is so thin to like kind of symbolize our actual veins and how small they are.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty unique way of doing that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, Berserker. Barely know her.
Oh, well done. I don't do accents. That was really well done. That was really great. I also go Berserker Barely Know Her. No one, the details here are just so magnificent. I loved that I learned what that word meant, and then I rewatched it with the commentary, and I was like, oh, they got the bear skins on, and there's just, it's just so great. And I also love one of my favorite epic kills was Skarsgård jumping off at the very beginning, jumping off that like roof. Yeah. And he's like high up in the air and he like floats down and hits the guy off the horse. I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it didn't feel fantastical. It felt like an actual thing someone would have done.
Yeah.
This is really Viking Simulator is what this movie is.
Yeah.
They just make the Northman the game.
Yeah, it is. It really.
I would play that. Absolutely. I would fucking play that.
Do it, Robert.
Let's go. I love the cinematography too, man. Iceland just breathes.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful, and I love how empty. And I love Icelandic music. I'm a huge Sigur Rós fan. Like I'm kind of a little bit obsessed with just things that, not that I know a lot about it, but just everything I encounter out of Iceland, like I just love.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. Again, it sent me looking at more to learn more about this stuff. So everything's great. So Berserker Barely Know Her.
Woo.
Yes, and like a mushroom fueled murder tirade, we are at 5-0. 5-0. It's beyond the point of no return, but we got 2 bro categories here.
Here we go.
All
to
right.
quote Mad Max, make it epic is the next category.
When did he say that?
What is it in Furiosa? Is like, but can you make it epic? When he's challenging her to kill him. Right?
I've seen the clip. Yeah.
I haven't seen.
Let me make sure it's right.
It's like a GIF, actually. I think that's out there.
Furiosa quote. I'm gonna have to edit this.
So wait, was that Chris Hemsworth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hold on. Let me make sure I said it right. Do you have it in you to make it epic?
Okay.
And he's challenging. I just gave it. You haven't seen it yet?
No.
Damn it, dude. I didn't mean to give that away.
Whatever. It's a line.
Yeah.
Let's
So
take 1 point off the board.
Jesus, we just want a rabbit trail because this guy hasn't seen the movie. I'm just kidding. Ugh. Yeah. But do you have it in you to make it epic?
I was watching more important movies like Nosferatu.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, Matthew Blevins and I shat on Furiosa. As two diehard Mad Max fans, like Road Warrior is a top 50 movie for me. So this is based on the fact that this is an epic, but also the way it was made did not jive with a lot of people that were expecting Gladiator, Braveheart. So ranking this or viewing this as an epic, what do you give it?
I mean, definitely. This is the thing. Epic in like you were saying, in the most traditional sense, is a singular hero going on some sort of full-fledged journey, and you really do hit all 7 points of the hero's journey in this story. You start with that conflict and call to action, and it really does end with the truest. The hero sacrifices himself for the greater good. It even along the way, like it a lot of ways resembles the Odyssey type of story, where you do have these almost like allegoric, parabolic moments of kind of taking you out of reality for a second with the visions and with talking to these witches and so no, I do think, like you said, it hits that very traditional definition. Unfortunately, Hollywood does what Hollywood does best and takes something great and morphs it into something formulaic to a fault, even though there is a formula to the traditional kind of hero's journey. It's gotten so watered down and so dumbed down, and like you keep saying, over romanticized in movies such as Gladiator or Braveheart, which are two very good movies.
Yeah.
But there's so little realism to those movies. And so to watch an epic go back to its most traditional definition and really just follow the one character through this type of journey, I completely give it a Berserker. Like, it is absolutely fantastic.
I love everything you said.
Aw.
Yeah, I touching again on the Hollywood part too. It's just like, I feel like in some epics, like what is the downfall is more of a slip up, when really like it was in the Northman, it felt like a callback to that call to action when he just has that prophecy, and he's more self-determined than having a sign of weakness. That being his downfall. Yeah, like in Gladiator, he's just kind of like. I fought the ending, the part like last third of the movie, because it's like 3.5 hours, right? The Gladiator. Yeah, it's like 3 hours. Yeah. I just felt like the last third of it was just kind of like a slower burn which is fine. I don't mind in that movie's particular case, but in this, it was more like just appropriate. For an epic, right? Like it really brought true sense, and maybe that's also speaking again to Robert Eggers' youth in directing, that he hasn't been so heavily influenced yet by whatever. Don't get influenced. Don't do drugs. Do you think they did drugs?
They did already. Sorry, they literally. You were too late. That 4 seconds. Yeah. They're in jail too. They're making drug dealers in jail now.
Yeah. This is about to be 5-1.
And you said you say you're a clean comedian.
I would like to apologize to the good people of Nateland Podcast.
But also, please come on this podcast.
No, it's Berserker Barely Know Her, though, just because I think that there are so many differences between the youth of Robert Eggers' directorial filmography, as well as just what have we seen over the last 20 years in epics that makes it not the perfect one, because I don't know what that would even look like, but it's inching pretty close to it. So
we'll find out after Nolan releases the Odyssey.
That is true, actually. Robert, you can do drugs.
All of them. Peyote, mescaline, whatever you got.
Yeah, whatever Iceland gave you.
Yeah. It ruins your teeth.
Yeah. But no
it's
allergies.
Only bad thing.
So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I also go Berserker Barely Know Her. I prefer this. I did like Gladiator, and I loved Braveheart, and those are great stories. But there is a lot of. I like what you said about Gladiator, that it kind of drags on towards the end. I love this. And the thing is like, this is a singular journey. And it's because this guy's got nothing else to fall back on.
Yeah.
This revenge, it's not like he's like, well, if I don't do this, I'm going to go ahead and start that real estate business that I always thought I could do. You know,
I mean, it's like Inigo Montoya at the end of The Princess Bride, where he's just like, I've been in the revenge business for so long, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, yeah. This guy is not starting an internet marketing firm if this doesn't pan out. You know,
he's no Zuck dog.
I get paid $1,200 a month to create hashtags for people. This is not that. I mean, this is the singular journey. I mean, and this is all he has, and he doesn't have a reward. I think it's interesting too. There is no reward, whether this happens or not for him. It's not like there's something on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, this is his singular mission, and then it just so happens that he gets her pregnant with twins. And
I do think there is a reward because
I guess
his father very specifically told him, your duty as a man and as a warrior is if I die, you avenge me. And he literally has that moment where he's like, I will go avenge my father and then go meet him.
Yeah, he got the best of both his parents, regardless of how crappy that situation was.
Yeah.
Like his father was, just tunnel vision. He was able to be an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not like there's a brand new car at the end of it. You know, I mean, it's
just a brand new Valhalla.
Yeah, just he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like you have that final shot of him literally going to Valhalla.
Yeah, it's
like,
beautiful.
It's such a cool way to give him that payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't feel like you get out of, especially Hamlet. Like Hamlet literally is just everybody dies. At least with this, there is that payoff of, even if it's just in his brain and, whatever you believe about the afterlife, in his mind, he does get to go and be with his ancestors and prove that he was a warrior.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's also leaving his offspring. Like he has his bloodline continuing.
Yeah.
Look, a Valkyrie.
Yeah, and that was really cool because I don't know about you guys, but like I'm not like an expert in any of these like mythologies, and I'm trying to get there with this one because I'm so interested now. But like it's not clear cut as like Christianity with heaven and hell. Like a lot of the mythology you read around Valhalla or whatever that next step in life is, it's not necessarily like a paradise.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of ambiguity around what it actually means. But like you said, it's like it's a warrior's reward.
Yeah.
And so that makes it, that I did think, and I didn't really realize it until you said it, but that was a huge payoff actually, because there's not a ton of mythological elements. Because even with the He-Witch stuff, you can always go back to saying, I think they're just on Urgot right now. It's like, I don't like
smoking drugs.
Yeah, even Bjork, it's just like she didn't notice the thing had fallen down, and but no, it's cool. That was a really cool payoff. So I did dig that. But
yeah.
I think these are epics in the truest sense. I want more of these. And again, there's a place for Gladiator, and that's a fun movie, but I love the realism. I love the history lesson here. So
yeah,
it's so stripped down and simple too. Like this is the most simple version of, and I hate to even call it an action movie, but it is technically an action drama. It's still the most simple version of that.
Yeah, and it was weirdly presented as almost like a thriller.
Yeah,
in a way too.
Yeah,
in the trailer. So.
And that leads us to our last and final category. It's 6-0 here. I called this one the wrong side of history, as everyone likes to say in the political realm. You don't want to be on the wrong side of history. Yeah. But this is just about considering how historically accurate Eggers tries to be, what he does. How do you feel about that? And we kind of just talked about it in the last one, but this is just focusing on the historical aspects.
I mean, it's his personal style, and that's something I don't need it out of every movie, but it's something he's chosen to take on as his signature on a film.
Yeah.
And I love when a director just out the gate has their voice like that, and so I think it really lends itself well to what he wants to do. I don't think there are many other directors who could pull it off the way that he does. I think for most other people trying to make a film like this, it might get 70% of the way there, and people would be like, that's good enough. But for him, I think it's just become such a part of his style that he can't avoid it now. Like, it's just that part of his brain can't turn it off. So it's Berserker, Barely Know Her for me.
Love it.
Yeah, it's Berserker, but because honestly, like, it's just like I had no questions.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's like one of those things that, like, I don't know, like when I watched, I'm trying to What's another epic out there? I just can't think. You guys got me on the Gladiator.
Oh yeah, there's
Braveheart. Braveheart's a good. Yeah,
Braveheart 300.
Like when I watched 300, that's actually the best example. I was like, I had a lot of questions. I'm like, I was like 14 when that came out. I think.
Yeah.
And I was such a nerd because we were studying that, that mythology, and I was like making maps and everything.
Yeah.
And then I got a big fat D on my mythology test because I was like,
someone
not
report that
lining up.
teacher.
So
yeah, how dare.
yeah, but yeah, it felt real, man.
Yeah. Visceral.
It's like a Coldplay concert. It just felt real.
Yes. Chris Martin's climbing on the pipes up there.
I'm crying to the scientist.
Yellow comes on, and we all just raise our lighters to the air.
Yeah. And not the crazy Rich Asians version.
Yeah.
That's the wrong side of history.
The wrong side of history. I Berserker barely know her. I mean, not to dote too much on this movie, but I mean, it's just firing on all the cylinders for me. I'm more interested in a very realistic look with pinches of drama in there than I am, being kind of romanticized and not being left wondering what it really was like. So I love this visual representation, and it made me super curious. And I think this is what hooks me to Eggers continually, and this is what I think draws loyalty from his fan base, is that when you watch The Witch or The Lighthouse, you're like, my God, like the amount of detail. Yeah. I mean, dude, on this commentary, he's just, I don't know if he has notes in front of him, but he's literally just citing poets from random centuries. And he's like, well, the poet this and that said this, and this is,
I bet you that's all from his brain.
Yeah.
No notes.
Oh, yeah.
This dude doesn't just study this stuff. It's like he knows.
Yeah.
And he pulled in a professional to help him co-write it to make sure that he was paying homage to the history. And he has Bjork
That's the
in
way
here.
to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I love it. I think this is, it's so, considering the day and age of film we're in, this is ultimately just incredibly refreshing for me. So 7-0.
Woo!
We are in Valhalla. We have accomplished the warrior or the hero's journey here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great movie. I can't wait I want to do more Eggers movies. I want to do The Lighthouse just because I want to be in the philosophical discussion.
Yeah.
I've watched it 3 times, and each time I think it means something completely different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
like the demise of man, the demise of loneliness. Just like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So before we sign off, though, what shows you got coming up? We have listeners all over the place.
So next month I'll be at Zanies a few times. I'm opening for Stephen Bargatze, Nate Bargatze's dad tonight. That was pretty cool. I know that comes out later, but he does a show there like every month.
Yeah.
Trying to get on the show of Dr. Ben. He's an Asian guy, so I think I have an in.
Get some nepotism there.
Yeah, and I'm also doing Stone Cold Sober at Third Coast Comedy Club. I think that's the 21st.
Which
Great
one are
show.
you?
I am going to be the drinking one this time.
Nice.
Seth was actually on the last one I did.
Nice.
It was a very horrible time.
That one went very poorly on John's part. And
Really?
I'd take blame for some of that, but
I don't think you should. I think that I was just so naive. I'm not a weed guy at all, really.
Yeah.
And I was like, this will be fun.
Yeah.
So I went to one of the Delta 9 stores and I bought like the Nerd gummy clusters. They put like 600 milligrams of whatever in there. And I'm like, you know what? Show's in 45 minutes. I gotta punch this to the gas. So I ate the whole thing. And then I get there. I'm like, Seth, I don't feel anything. He's like, he's so kind. He's like, you gotta wait just a little bit longer. He's like, but I did bring this blunt if you want it. So I did that. And then like I get on stage and I could already feel it as I'm about to go on stage. So I just like wrote my jokes on a note card. And I wrote on the back of the note card, in case things go bad. And
they went bad.
They went bad. I was like, you get 8-minute sets. I have like a minute left. I look at the clock and I'm like, I have 2 minutes left. I bought the recording from them. And I was just like, I get the card out and I do 7 jokes that are like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I look at the clock. I'm like, I have 2 minutes left. But yeah, then I ran away from everybody, freaked my wife out, and
buried yourself.
Ended up in.
I got so many texts during the night from him. It was great.
That's amazing.
And like,
he's like, did I not just have a conversation with you? I'm like, dude, you've been home for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Marianne has asked me to be on the show a few times. I just haven't really wanted
It's
to do
a fun
it.
one.
It's
Is
a
it?
fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only one the reason I'm doing the drinking one is like I'm also trying to calm that down. So I'm like, it'll be my last hurrah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore. Do I have to drink to be on the show?
No, you
No,
can
you
be
can
a
be
sober
sober
one.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to be the sober one.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people who are sober do that show. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's really great. But yeah, I'm going to be a drinking one, and I don't know. It'll be fun.
Fun.
Less scary. So
Come out and see our boy John. He's incredible. He's one of the best comics we got, and he's out there destroying the world like a Viking, like a Filipino Viking.
yes.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all. I'm
you, guys.
Kyle.
I'm Seth.
And I'm John DeToy.
Woo!
The Movie Wars.